Oh, and now it gets combined with Tour de France. It's a wonderful mix. Haven't decided what we're gonna run today. We'll decide when we start. I'm just gonna turning down the music slightly. It's a bit loud. There we go. That's more manageable. 1 minute left there. And there's the Tour de France music. If I press... Oh, it's so loud. It's always so loud. I'm just gonna start. I can't take any more. What do you mean? There we go. We gaming. Hello gamers, welcome back. So yeah, I know I said we'd play something else, but I'm really in the mood for some more Tour de France. We might play something else later, we'll see. I'm in the mood. So I have submitted my run of Les Trois Jours de Provence to the speedrun timetables. It could take up to 21 days for it to be verified. And also, the moderator has not been online in 2 months. But yeah, we will see about that. I'm going to keep just doing more of these for the time being. Let's tighten my dungarees slightly. They're a bit loose. Okay. So, we could just bosh one out really quickly, which has no record. So if I switch over to internet here for web capture of this. Where's this? Oh, Glee. That's why. I have to just resize it. Give me 1 minute. That'll do. So as you can see, there is a lot of runs in this game where there are just there are absolutely zero like runs. So from the start, Paris-Nice is empty, Eurotour is empty, Vlaanderen Classic is empty, and Giro di Lombardia is empty. I think as a warm-up, before we get on to one of the ones where we have to compete against someone. So last time, yeah, we beat Le Trois Jours de Provence by about 8 minutes in game time. So these are measured by in-game time. So we're gonna, yeah, let's do, I think Vlaanderen Classic is a single stage, if I'm not wrong. So it's a cobbled stage. UAE Team Emirates are realistic. Ooh, a DSM better for this? I think Oh, maybe Jumbo Visma are better because they've got.
Hi guys. Welcome
Okay.
to this Vlaanderen Classic briefing.
It's another one of
you'll be on narrow
these.
roads. You'll climb
So-
steep cobblestone hills, and you'll fight for a place as best you can.
Yeah, this is
Here
a
for victory today.
single
I'm
stage.
counting on you to do your utmost. The objective is victory and nothing else. I'm counting on you. We don't give up, and we give it our all right to the end.
So yeah, we're aiming for victory as the old guy just said, and ideally, well, we do need to win this if we want. I mean, there's no record here. Like whatever happens, we've won. But ideally, I don't think a breakaway is going to win this one. So what we'll do is we'll get our little sort of our guys, our various guys. We'll get them to sort of ride hard for a lot of this to sort of keep the peloton going.
Welcome to the start of one of the monuments of the cycling
And then
season,
once
the
we-
Vlaanderen Classic. It's
just
a race for true specialists.
so many different
It's narrow
guys.
roads, cobblestone hills, and never-ending changes of direction.
And
This
then once
Belgian
we
Classic only crowns a highly talented rider.
okay, so why don't you wait for the following group? Okay, no. For the time being, let's just ensure a minimum tempo. There's going to be some breakaways this early. We don't... Do we have any, like, kind of pointless guys who we can send out? Enkhorn?
The initial kilometres are relatively easygoing.
Is no one going
Will
to
no
attack?
doubt provide an opportunity to see an early breakaway.
Or not. No one be attacking. Today is also the final day of the actual Tour de France. I originally started this to celebrate like the Tour de France beginning, and today is the Champs-Élysées. I really haven't kept up with it because I've had no Wi-Fi for like most of it, which is a real shame. I'll probably watch the highlights of the Champs-Élysées today, later. Okay. So yeah, we're ensuring a minimum tempo so that just we're not going too slow. Oh? Where's my dipshit I told to follow attacks? I think it was you. Okay, they are only 25 seconds ahead, so I don't think they're anything of a threat.
The peloton is riding
It's a really long stage, so I don't think it's worth us attacking or anything with the rest of the team. Just because we want energy for the sort of final, let's say 20 kilometers, so we can just power through them as hard as we can. If we're like in relatively good shape for that point, then we should... Why does it keep saying wait for the following group? There are no people behind the peloton.
The breakaway is widening the gap. It's good for us since we've got a guy up front.
And also, if this breakaway does go all the way, our guy in the breakaway, it won't because it's like a 200-kilometer stage and they won't have the energy. But if they do somehow, our guy in the breakaway will sort of count as a time for us. It's just our guy who's fastest. So yeah, it's in that sort of last couple of climbs and stuff where it really matters. So one thing to take into account is there isn't much here. This is just a warm-up. There's not, because it's a fairly flat stage as well, there's not much cycling I have to do. It's mostly just sitting here watching them speed along. It'll be sort of towards the end of the race, we'll sort of do something. But for the time being, we don't really need to do anything. And then this will be a
losing ground.
easy record. And then whatever we get in this, because we're submitting it, it counts as the speedrun record. I think is an important thing to take into account. So this is the first. and the second, we've reached the cobbled sections. So cobbles are a bit like climbs in that they take a fair amount of energy and sort of you can't go as fast on them. There's a couple of quite famous cycling races that take place on cobbled surfaces, and they're just notorious for like how rough they are. Okay, in a second I'm gonna, because we're coming up to the first feed zone, so I think it's fine to set a high tempo for a bit, because we can recover that energy. I'm gonna tell our boy Afini to chug a jug.
Okay, I'll consume a feed.
And that means he recovers some energy.
The riders are coming to the first feed zone. The race will then enter a more intense phase, with the appearance of the first short climbs along the rider's route.
Okay, Afini has died now. So that's ensure a minimum tempo, which will slow down now, but
First hill for the riders to climb, the Oude Kvaremont.
it does mean that
2,200 meters of cobblestones at 4%.
Oi.
Undoubtedly one of the best known of the Flemish hills. The riders will have to climb it 3 times during the day.
okay, so that breakaway,
The
the breakaway looks like it's starting
is
to
losing its lead.
lose
It's going to be
its
difficult for them.
lead completely.
New hill in sight. The
I'm just trying to make sure my guy Vlaanderen
no cobblestones on this hill though.
saves as
Riders can
much
take
energy
advantage
as he
of a
can, because we
well-tarmacked
really
road.
will need it, and a lot of people will
The peloton is riding hard.
waste that
Stay
energy.
well placed.
We've still got 125 kilometers to go, which is the length of some
Another hill,
stages.
the Volvenberg. Only 600
Decker, you are dying. He just doesn't have...
meters, but an average slope of almost 8%. At the top, the riders will be straight onto a cobblestone sector. that
Yeah,
is
so if you look at...
1,000
so the harder you go, the sort of further your maximum energy drops, which means you can't go as hard for as long, and it takes sort of... You have less
500
reserves.
meters long.
But because our main guy, Van hasn't been doing a whole lot other than being carried by people, he has quite a lot of energy at the moment,
The front of the race now begins the ascent of the
which
Berendries.
is really decent
950
for a
meters
really
at
long race like this,
7%.
because it just puts him in a
The
incredibly
next
advantageous
hill,
position
Ten Bosse,
for when we
lies
get
within
sort
the
of towards the end.
municipality of Brakel. It is one of the rare hills that sits inside a town.
This is sort of the sort of thing where we don't need to do a
The
massive
riders
amount
will
of playing.
soon be at the Mecca of cycling, the Muur van Gerardsberg. Now that it sits far from the finish,
And much
its
like
role
Mecca,
as final
only
arbiter,
cyclists are allowed
while inside
on.
the final kilometers no longer applies, but it still remains a strategic location that could decide the race.
Okay, so we're very close to the breakaway now. I want to kill one of my guys and set a high tempo. Why is it Afini again? Afini doesn't have the fucking energy. Can
The riders up front still have
someone
something
else
left.
do it,
They're
please?
upping the pace to try to hold out till the end.
We've killed Rusin. Okay, all my guys have kind of killed themselves, so let's go back to
Come
a
on,
minimum
guys,
tempo.
catch him. He's a danger for the stage win.
Okay.
Looks like the breakaway still has
Oh
some gas
no,
left.
Stefan
It's
Kung's
still able to
escaped.
widen the gap.
Stefan Kung is one of the best riders. Oh,
Breakaway
and
over.
okay, so
Here we go again, starting with a Pottelberg.
So it's
1,000
circuits.
350
So
meters on an average
we're essentially
slope of
doing the same thing that we just done
6.5%.
again. I think a lot of these races do circuits, which is convenient for the developers because they don't
Now
have to do.
Canarieberg stands before
more.
the riders.
Okay,
1 kilometer on an average slope of 6.5%.
so this lead
From
group
the
is
top,
now
the
just
riders will drop down into the town of
collapsing
Kongsberg for a
because
second ascent to the
most of
Oude
them do
Kvaremont.
not have the energy to keep going at this point. We do because we're
The
one of
front
the
race
best
is starting the
cyclists
second
in the.
ascent to the Oude Kvaremont. The race is entering its final phase.
Oh,
Each hill can
the
now
peloton
prove
has-
decisive.
it's still 55k to go though, so I don't want to go hard yet, outside of sort of staying in this.
Now on towards the Paterberg for the front of the race.
Why are you wasting your energy on a downhill runner? You dipshit. No.
Now it's the Paterberg, the shortest hill on the route.
Why is
Only
he...
360 meters.
They don't like
Also
cooperating.
the steepest with its average slope of 12.9%.
I'm gonna let someone else go at the front to try and save some energy. Because he's doing better than everyone else on the team, but he still doesn't have masses of energy. There we go. And now he should hopefully... Oh, for fuck's sake, I've never changed the thing over. I'm so stupid. I've been talking over nothing.
Essentially, you're the fastest of the group in a sprint.
There we go. I'm so clever. That took me just like 15 minutes to work out. Okay.
Okay, if the pace is too fast, I won't insist.
They've only got like a couple of different accents as well, which is particularly fun when most of these guys are
race
like
will now take to the final cobblestone sector on the route.
not
It has
from
the
America,
particularity of harboring a hill that sits in the middle of the
but a
sector.
lot of them have
steam
American
beat
accents for
grease.
some reason.
It's the turn of the Tyenberg to be climbed by the riders.
Okay.
Bunched peloton.
Okay, no. We're being dropped and we don't want to be dropped, so we're going to have to go hard for a wee bit.
He's got his teammates riding because a rider who's dangerous for the stage victory has broken away.
Oh no, the other guy with Van in his name. There we go, you can see the game now. You can see this absolute beauty of a game that I've been staring at and talking over
Breakaway
without
over.
you being able to see it for the past... while. Okay.
Revealed to the general public after his
We
victory
should
in the
be able to
2016
fairly
Vlaanderen
easily...
Classic, Oliver Nason is today one of the leading protagonists in the Flanders Classics.
reach the pedestal if we need to. I don't love how much energy we're using, but we will reach them if it's the last thing I do, and it may be the last thing I do. Let's do a wee sprint. Just so we can catch up with them. Because it's far more damaging for us to be on the road by ourselves than it is. Oh, for fuck's sake.
It won't be long before the riders are at the Kruisberg, the longest hill on the route. That will leave the Udik-Fademon-Paterberg sequence on which to land a killer blow before reaching the
I may have
finishing
just
line
fucked
in
it
Udenland.
up. Whatever happens, even if we don't win this, we have the world record for this. And also, one thing that you can use to your advantage is the AI sucks at cornering in this game. So you can just out-corner them.
The Kruisberg is 2.5 kilometers long, an average of only 5%. But
Okay.
after 240 kilometers in the saddle, it will surely...
Yeah, I'm gonna chug the rest of our... So, for those of you who are just joining us, or who have been watching and before I realised that we weren't... the game wasn't on the screen. This is Tour de France 2021, a beautiful, beautiful game with no problems. We are playing through some stages to sort of break some speedrun records. We're doing this as a warm-up because it doesn't have any runs, so by default this run that you're watching is the world record run for the time being, unless someone else fancies running the game. And then we're gonna do some runs of
He's trying to get out of the peloton. Watch out.
we're going to do some stages which don't have runs at the moment to make our life a bit more complicated and exciting. Here we go. Okay. But yeah, so this game is mostly about energy conservation because you're doing your rider has limited energy and limited sort of energy time they can go ride really hard for. So you as the player are kind of trying to maintain as much energy as you can for the moments when you really need it. Whilst sort of trying to do as much damage to your opponents. Using your teammates, because you control the whole team, you don't just control an individual. So, for example, here we are playing as Team Jumbo-Visma? I can't remember how it's pronounced. If they're Belgian, it'll be Jumbo, I think.
The peloton is riding hard. Stay well placed.
So, and yeah, so we have a bunch of other riders. The others are all light years back
Only 20 kilometers left for
because
the main front.
they
Only
just
the
couldn't
Ude
hack
Kvaremont
it.
and the Paterberg remain for them to sort out a hierarchy and avoid a sprint finish.
They couldn't hack it, so it's just us and a couple of
He has
other
no more
riders.
teammates, and he's driving himself to retain his chances of winning the stage.
The final climb of the Ude Kvaremont has
And
begun.
there's now only a small number of sort of elite riders who can actually manage to keep up for this long, of which we are one. I've been doing a sort of playthrough of the Tour de France with a less elite team. A still pretty good team, but like one with less of a sort of reputation for being amazing as some of the ones we're going to be using for these speedruns. Who I picked because I found their name funny. And with them, we're trying to win the Tour de France. But with these guys, we're trying to win as many races as possible to sort of beat the speedrun records and all that jazz. And then this culminates eventually. This will culminate eventually in us trying to beat the record for the Tour de France, which is a 21 stage. A 21 stage race with like an awful lot of complicated stuff. So we're in the lead group of 4 now, but there are lots of riders behind us who are probably going to catch up whilst we recover energy. We want to use these downhills to recover as much energy as we can, because there's no point going hard on them unless you're playing a character who is particularly good at going downhill. There are some characters who, like, their speciality is going downhill. And there are, I think, there are some particular... Fuck!
There will be 13 kilometers before the finishing line is
You can
reached.
fall off. That's something that I should say. There aren't, like, crashes particularly. But you can fall off like that. So yeah, this run that we're doing of the Vlaanderen Classic, the Flanders Classic, is going to be by default the world record because no one else has run this category. No one else has run this category, but once we've done this one, we're going to do a couple of ones which people have run, and it gets a wee bit more complicated. So we were doing this last night, and we played through the 3 days of Provence, and where we eventually smashed that world record. World records are measured by in-game time instead of with sort of real life time, but yeah, we managed to beat that one by a while because we did a first attempt that failed, and then a second attempt that went far better. You can find all them as VODs, both on the Twitch channel, and I've got a YouTube channel where I keep all the VODs. So either of them work. So yeah, we want to just maintain as much of the relatively limited energy that our guy has left for what is going to be the final sprint. Which is going to be rough. There are... all of these cyclists we are with... are like top tier cyclists. So we're going to be competing against...
He's trying to get away on a counter-attack.
We're trying
He's
to
turning the screw.
sprint against these lot.
Acceleration at the front of the peloton. No falling asleep.
5k left to go. That's what that means ahead of us. 5k left to go, and it's... we should have just about enough energy to make
Just
it.
5 more kilometers. It will be difficult to withstand the return
What
of the
peloton? There is no peloton at this point in the race. I'm going to try and recover a tiny bit more
5
energy.
kilometers. You can do it.
We probably have enough for the sprint, but we want to sort of have the energy, so we're going to... unless someone goes, then we have to go. But they're going to be playing games and all trying to sort of get away. And they're all going to be trying to sort of get away in this last 3k before the sprint, because none... I have a feeling we are the strongest sprinter in the group. Quite possibly. So yeah, we got 2.2k to go. The sprint will probably start about 1k to go at the red flag. Which all these guys will try and... we've got the energy to go all the way, whatever happens. They're wasting their energy. So I'm going to go now.
Don't look back. The peloton is right behind you.
And see if we can make it. I may have messed up the timing on this. But not. I did it. We did it. We won that one. It's going to take a while for the rest of these riders to get to the end, but when they do, we'll see what our time was. We also might play something later once we've done a couple of runs, because we have a lot of other stuff. Sundays are traditionally the days I do Pokemon stuff. We were doing a randomized Nuzlocke, but wasn't particularly feeling it. I'm thinking I have not... we may do a Pokemon... just look at this beautiful sprint. Absolutely beautiful sprint. There's a lot of things I want to do. I want to do like a Pokemon Shield's the one I've got. Nuzlocke. A Pokemon Shield Nuzlocke. And we get the achievement for that. King of the Hills. So that's 6 hours, 12 seconds and 26 minutes. In this little box I've got up, which I'm going to use for splits, I'm just going to put all the records we've got today. So one thing that... I'm going to make that bigger as well. 6 hours, 12 seconds and 26 minutes. Is that like big enough? That might be a bit too small still. Is that like visible? Is that visible or is that a bit small? There we go, that's better. So let's just extend that out a bit. Let's also extend this box. So when we get into actual stages, I'll start putting stuff there. So next, if we switch back over to the internet, so we've just got this. We just did the Vlaanderen Classic, which is